And welcome to yet another edition of Ben's Junk, the show whose batting average with said junk just seems to keep getting worse. Anyway, little caveat here. Yes, this is going to be one of those using the microphone in the camcorder, autofocus, auto exposure, auto everything sort of episodes. And I would hope you've already figured out why that is, because I'd like to learn to solder, and I'd like to have as little as possible in terms of, microphones and stuff to worry about as I'm trying to learn how to do this. And yes, I cannot solder. I tried it once, years ago, pre-archive, and I fried the point. This was at a job, so I didn't own any of this stuff. But I don't want to talk about it. But anyway, I guess I'm going to have to give you the full story time to show you and tell you how I got to this point. So, back in September or October, the Betamax deck that I keep in this room just permanently, it had always had little quirks and problems, but the problems just kept mounting, and it reached a point where what it was going to cost me to get those problems fixed, it was just going to be cheaper and simpler all around, or at least so I thought, to just go ahead and replace the unit. But the biggest problem with that deck was the video head assembly where the tape runs against the head. It was visibly worn, and it was worn to the point where there was just this permanent little tracking streak on screen. And then the eject mechanism wasn't working, and I checked the capacitors, and I could tell they were bad just looking at them. So, yeah, that was kind of it for that. I could still use it as a pass-through, I guess, for the cheesy little effects that are in it. That was a Sony Super Beta SL-HF 840D. It was the subject of one of the first Ben's Junks I ever did, so go and watch that if you're curious about that particular unit. But anyway, it took me 3+ months, but I finally found another, at least comparable Super Beta unit, and I swear everything I touch is a fixer-upper, and I guess that's because I just don't like paying collector's prices for stuff. I'm just too much of a cheapskate, which I guess is kind of biting me in the ass now. But anyway, I have that new deck right here, and this is a Sony Super Beta SL-HF 650, and it's basically the same as the old one, just minus the little cheesy digital effects that you could throw on there. But this one had some problems. The tape transport in here, the little carriage that the tape rides on going down into the machine, it was all gummed up and stuck, and I was able to take care of that. I was able to get it moving again, and I lubed the living hell out of the tracks, and works just fine. But once I got that going and actually got a tape in there and running, it was just squealing like crazy, which thankfully turned out to be just, it needed a little WD-40, a little lube, a little love, and it was okay again. And then over here, the where it says peak level meter, the recording level, and also the headphone volume level, were just scratchy as all hell, but that was easily fixable. I just used a little deoxit on it. But there's one problem that I wasn't able to fix, and it's the composite jacks on here, specifically the out. The RF worked right out of the gate. That was just fine. Initially, none of these worked at all, but I was able to use some contact cleaner and the deoxit, and I was able to just weasel this back into working, because this was seated more or less okay. I tried to do the same thing here, and I got it very well cleaned out, but my big scary thought was, these are a little loose. And my fear was, oh goody, I am going to have to desolder and resolder, and I can't solder. But I went to two places here in the Denver area, called them And one of them was a vintage AV place, and everybody turned this job, this hopefully simple job, turned me down flat. So it was just kind of like, well, I guess it's time for me to take another stab at learning. So anyway, I got the kit, haven't even opened it yet, and because I'm going to eventually need to desolder, and let me say, I don't think I'm going to try and fix the beta in this video, because when it comes down to that, I think I'd rather be able to truly focus on that and not have to worry about a camera. But, as I said, I found this in trying to finally learn to solder. And initially I was just going to buy a soldering iron and stuff and maybe find some junk electronic and just practice on that. But I was at Micro Center and I found this and I thought, actually this doesn't sound like too bad an idea. Having a real kit with something simple that I can just work on and experiment with, hopefully. Again, haven't opened this. So yeah. But also at a good old Micro Center, I knew there wasn't any desoldering stuff in there, so I still had to go and get the pump, and I had to... I don't think, as best as I can tell, this doesn't come with the stand, so I had to get that, and of course the braid, desoldering braid, had to get that too. But anyway, let's take a cut here. I'll open this up, we'll take a look at what's in here, and maybe, just maybe, I'll learn to solder. Okay, I've got everything out, and I've got the soldering iron plugged in and stuff, and I can smell it from here, so I would imagine it's hot by now. But this company gave me actually 3 of the same thing, and they gave me basically the world's most basic flashlight, which I'm totally okay with. So let me just show that to you real quick. Here it is, and the instructions are printed on this thing, super, super tiny. But thus far, I have half followed the first step, and that is to put this little switch in. So I've got it popped in, but it still needs soldered on. So let's clamp it down. And yes, I am wearing the safety goggles right now. See if I can't really tighten up on that. So, at least they gave me 3. I think this might be the only one I do on camera. But, yeah. The first time Benny Boy, it was, aside from that one really botched first time, is now going to try and do his thing. And I've been reading the instructions. I've been reading the separate instructions that also came with this. So hopefully I'm doing this right. So it says on the other instruction sheet to apply heat. Rest the soldering iron against both the pad and the lead. So I guess they want me to just warm this up. Okay. Now, none of this says how long to do anything. It doesn't give any specifics at all, so maybe that's why it gave me 3 of them. So hopefully that warms it up. And I got me some solder here. And you'd think that it would be melting on there. Again, if I'm reading this correctly. I have no idea if that was supposed to happen or not. Learning together, Oddity archive style. It's always a comedy, isn't it? You know what? For safety's sake, I think I'm going to turn off the camera now. Okay, upon further reading it, I misread what it meant in trimming the lead. That bodes well. So I cut it off with this thing and this little snipper, and I feel like I just didn't do it good enough. I've made the executive decision that I'm not going to work on the beta until I either truly know what I'm doing or I can find somebody else to do it. This is definitely not something I think I want to undertake on camera, because I really definitely want to be able to have some semblance of a clue of what I'm doing. I'm sure this is supposed to look a little neater here, this bottom left one. So let's warm it up. And yeah. Again, I'm sure that there's a lot of experienced people out there who are just laughing their heads off at me right now. And this may be the problem that I had the first time I was doing this, come to think of it. Several years ago. Oh well, you know what? I think it's just going to be better all around if I do this off camera. So I'm going to take a very lengthy cut here, and I'm going to try and make this little cheapy little flashlight actually happen. And let's just say my hopes aren't too high right now. So, yeah, thankfully they gave me 3 of them, but I'm not comfortable doing this on camera. So, again, I'll take a cut here, and when I finish, I will turn the camera on again, and we'll see if I have success. So, I hope that the losing horn from The Price is Right starts playing in your head when you see this. I think we can pretty safely call this a monumental failure. Come on, focus. I overdid the battery, the soldering on the battery pad, so I can't fit the battery in. And I tried to desolder, and that didn't really work naturally. No dice here. And I have to say I'm a little disappointed in this box set, not just because of my own incompetence, but you have 1 page of instructions that doesn't really tell you much of anything beyond, you know, a soldering iron gets hot. And then you got the instructions on the little kit here. At least they gave me 3 of them, so I can try it again. But there's a jargon like to tin the lead. I had to look up what that meant. I know what it means now, and you can look it up for yourself. But yeah, that's a pretty epic failure there, isn't it? Now, if I do try this again with the other kits before this episode drops, I'll take some pictures and add some text annotations as to what I did. But as it stands, I am so not attempting to work on the beta with, you know, just mad skills like this. Anyway, that's it for this edition of Ben's Junk, and it is truly junk this time, and I can't say I'm too surprised. For all intents and purposes, that's it. I'll see you again soon.